Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of XTalks. We'll kick this one off very shortly. We are just waiting for a few members as well as speakers to join.
Testing microphone.
Yes, sir, loud and clear.
Cheers. Awesome.
Cryptonaut, can you hear me?
Sure can. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, loud and clear.
Awesome.
I guess, can we kick this one off or do you want to wait for a few minutes more?
I'm ready.
All right, let's kick this one off. Welcome everyone to another episode of X Talks. In this one, we are going to be discussing building user experiences for people that are using crypto or DeFi or anything that's related to crypto. As you all know, our very own Cryptonaut likes to go deep into rabbit holes. So we are going to see some very interesting questions as well as we also have some very interesting speakers as well. So this one is definitely going to be an interesting one. And usual, if you don't know, I am the community manager for Layer 1X, and I am joined by Cryptonaut, who is the CXO of Layer 1X. Over to you, Cody.
Sweet. Thanks for that great intro. I appreciate it. So, as mentioned, I'm Cody. I'm the Chief Experience Officer, and I'm pretty excited to jump in today's topic. It's kind of a one that's close to my heart and definitely always at the forefront of my mind of being a UI UX designer myself. And so I think we're going to come at it from a lot of different perspectives, judging by the panelists that we have lined up for today. So thanks, Sam, for always joining us. It's always great having you by our side to make sure that we get through these AMAs. Big shout out to ex-co-hosts for joining us as well, helping us wrangle a few panelists here for our AMA as well. So, before we kick things off, just make sure that you please share the link to this episode. Since it's going to be a great topic, I know that you're going to want to get this out to everybody you know. Likewise, if you haven't already, please make sure you mark your calendars for our next AMA coming up on I believe Friday the 29th at 8 a.m. AWST or 12 a.m. UTC. It's going to be on gaming, Web 2, Web 3, facing the challenges and discovering solutions. So it should be a good one. So let's see here. Let's dive in and just have everybody start introducing themselves. If you want to take 30 seconds or so, kind of give us your elevator pitch, and we'll go from there. Who wants to go first?
Yeah, sure.
Jim
Why
Jim.
not? I'm never one to wait too long. So my name is Gabriel. Really happy to be here with ex co-host again, Cryptonaut. It's been a minute since we've been in a space together. I'm looking forward. We usually get down and dirty and find some really awesome topics. So super looking forward to it. For those of you who don't know me, I am the creator of New Spirits. This is a game what's all about playing fun games and planting real trees in the real world. We've already planted over 20,000 trees, and we hope to make that 20 million at some point. And we'll just keep on going, you know. It's good to see some other fresh faces in the space, some people that I lurk around on spaces with frequently. So I'm looking to get into this conversation, and I don't want to take up too much time. So that's me. Did I rug?
No, I can hear you.
Okay,
It's
good.
good to have you. It's good to have
There's
you,
just a little
Gabriel.
cricket afterwards. It was like,
Good to have you, mate.
Spaces.
Yeah, it's probably too early for most of these people, I guess. I don't know. I guess I'm gonna have to do the old-fashioned thing and start calling on people. So, Joel.
Got to unmute that microphone, Joe.
All right.
Knocking on the door.
GM, guys. We need some energy. We need some energy.
I don't know if we can hear Joel. Joel's waving at us, but his mic's muted.
Joel, I have also invited Dash Space, so if you want to jump in through that, then feel free to jump in.
Yeah, looks like we's having some X difficulties.
All right.
Bringing up Genso, nice. Good to see you, Genso.
Yes. Let's go into Genso then.
Hey guys,
Nobara.
GM. So good to see everyone. So for those of you who haven't been on 1,000 X spaces with me already, my name is Nobara and I'm looking after the global community over at Genso Kishi. And for those of you who don't know what Genso Kishi is, it is a 15-year-old 3D MMORPG coming straight from Japan. We started off our journey on Nintendo and PlayStation, and we are now in our Web3 arc, so to say. It's a massive pleasure to be seeing everyone here. Massive pleasure to be seeing Gabriel. I haven't been on a session with him in a while, so I'm looking forward to this.
I've been underground. I've been working in the back room.
I'm sure. I know if you're quiet, then that means you're working on something good. I was taking a little bit of a break as well, so I think we're gonna hear some fresh opinions and thoughts today.
Well, it's nice that your mom let you guys out to play today, so it's great having you guys back for sure.
No, they didn't let them out to play. They just turned on the internet for today.
That's true. Internet privileges.
I remember the days when my mom used to take away my Nintendo. She used to unplug it and like hide it somewhere.
Yeah, I remember the good old days that you had to sneak downstairs to turn on the internet. Yeah.
Yeah, the old dial-up used to give me away all the time. So.
Yeah.
All right, who do we got next? Let's go with Jasper.
Yeah, hey everybody. I'm Jasper. I'm a co-founder at Psi Finance, PSI Finance. We're at psifi.app, sci-fi.app. I'm really excited to be here. UX is really something I think is a huge problem in the crypto space and the Web3 space, especially for people who don't know much about it. So I think that really at Sci-Fi, we're really taking a really what we consider a revolutionary step to really meet people where fintech kind of left off, right? So tens of millions of dollars have been spent by fintech companies over the past decades to bring us to to kind of educate people on how to interact with financial applications. And so we're basically saying instead of reinventing the wheel, instead of introducing all kinds of unnecessary technical jargon, let's just kind of meet them there. Let's meet people there and then onboard them into the space. So that's kind of our approach. So yeah, it's really near and dear to my heart. We're kind of starting from the user experience and then working back to the technology. So we're the first to really kind of aggressively say, no, this is the UX we want, and then how do we work out the technology instead of kind of trying to iterate on the technology to be like, this is slightly better UX. Are we there? We're saying no. Let's go all the way and then build from there. Super excited to be here with all of you and with all these great speakers as well. So thanks everyone for joining. I'm excited.
I love the bio. CEO, intern, and founder. I love that.
That's right. I take all the jobs. We're a small company.
It's how I feel most days.
That's awesome. Jen Marie, you're up.
This is actually the morning, y'all, from sunny Los Angeles, where it's not so sunny because it's still dark. But I'm so happy to be here. I'm on the countdown for NFT NYC, so shameless plug. If you're there, come hit up your girl. I want to meet everybody in real life as much as I can. But I digress. I am a community strategist at Community. I'm a content strategist at Community Labs, which is a software development company, but we kind of parlayed off into a venture studio helping founders build on the Arweave network. In addition to that, I'm a recording artist with music and art on blockchain and a hug artist curator. So I have both sides of the coin when it comes to user experiences and user use cases, both as somebody that helps implement these plans and somebody that uses technology and is like, we might need to go back to the drawing board. So I'm super excited to be here and talk with each and every one of you. It's going to be a good time.
Well, welcome. So I think I'm pronouncing that right. So
GM, what's up? It's Zoe, but you can call me whatever you prefer.
Zoe.
I'm
Love
based
it.
in Italy. At the moment, it's 2 p.m. to 12. And I'm actually the co-founder of Introverse, and we're established in Switzerland. Like, I joined the Web3 space like almost 9 years ago with Bitcoin, especially because I live the southern part of Switzerland, where like the city where I stay, it's Lugano, where Tether, Bitfinex is established. So there's a huge influence there. But slowly through the years, I became a degen, and now we take care about engagement for NFT collections and brands. And super excited to be here, honestly, because my previous job, um, like now almost 10 years ago, but still I do these almost every day still. It's about user experience and user interface for online products. So it's super interesting to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Moonblast, you're up.
Hey guys, this is Chris. Thank you for inviting me over to be a speaker. I'm the founder CEO of Moonblast, which is from an investor experience. We're the first launchpad basically that has developed fractionalized vesting contracts. So basically making vesting schedules liquid. Yeah, I'm not going to talk too much about it because I can go on ages and hours about it. Everybody can about their own product. So in terms of user experience itself, I'm mainly the guy doing the QA as well. I think user experience is one of the most underestimated things that can make a product good, or just even though the technology can be good, but just by user experience, UI, or having more secondary functions on the back end can really improve user experience. So yeah, the topic is really big actually, and more projects should be following this to pick up more input from other projects and other people.
Great, welcome. Looks like we've got Joel back up on the Dash handle.
Can you guys hear me?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Oh, fantastic. Well, this is the second space in a row where my personal account for some reason doesn't get recognized, but whatever. Hey, everyone. Happy, Tuesday? I'm Joel Valenzuela. I run business development for Dash, and Dash is a cryptocurrency 10 years old that's been focused on ease of use and payments for everyday money purposes. And we have a big release coming up very soon that will kind of advance the usability of crypto as money by adding easy usernames, contact lists, and some other features. And it's already very useful as digital cash to live on today. And so I'm excited about a lot of the interesting new features we have coming up.
Well, welcome, Joe. You must have done something to piss off Elon Musk, I guess, to block your personal account, it sounds like.
Must have talked some smack about Dogecoin.
I got you on follow anyway. Follow all these speakers, everybody. Follow these speakers. These guys are legit. These ladies, they are rocking it. Everybody here is gathered by co-hosts. They're hand-selected. happy to follow all you guys.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, great shout out on that one. Looks like we got two more speakers. Abood, I think I said that right.
Yeah, that is correct. It's Aboud. So my name is Aboud. I'm the COO of Havens Compass. Thanks for having me here, guys. This is not the first time that I get on the spaces with X co-host and Layer 1X. Very happy to be here. There's a very interesting subject that we have, and I think it's definitely one of the more important pieces of each and every project, whether it's a game or not a game. Anything it is, UX experience is definitely one of the most important things to focus on when it comes to projects. But as I said, very happy to be here. Can't wait to get into the subject properly. And as for Haven's Compass, if you don't know it yet, it's a first-person shooter. It's a free-to-play game. You can download it on Epic Games, so check it out.
All right. Last but not least, Jonathan, you're up.
GM, guys. Super happy to be here today with an amazing array of other panelists. Personally, I've been in crypto since 2017. Hung around a little bit in various different projects, but now super happy to combine my two biggest passions, which are blockchain as well as cars. So more than happy to touch upon that in a little bit. And super happy to hear that we have such an international panel as well. Zoe, I've actually lived in Switzerland myself, in a different canton though. So who knows, perhaps there are some connections to be made, guys, today. So GM, and really looking forward to today's convo.
I'll have to jump in on that one, by the way. I live in Switzerland as well. Not in Ticino, but in Switzerland, central Switzerland.
So not as international, mostly just like neutral, neutral zones.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. Well, thank you everybody for joining. If you're just tuning in, my name is Cody. I'm the Chief Experience Officer here at Layer 1X. And today is, I believe, episode 34 of XTalks. And today's topic is on Web3 experience, building a Web3 experience. And if you listen to the panelists, you can tell we've got a great lineup for you. And so if you happen to have any questions that you are dying to ask our panelists, please be sure to leave those questions in the comments below. And I'll have our co-host Sam jump in there and grab those, and we'll pull those up at a little later time in our AMA, and we'll pose those to our panelists and get the answer you're looking for. So yeah, thanks everybody for joining. Again, if you haven't, please share the link to this episode. I'd love you forever, and I know our panelists would as well. They're taking out time for themselves to out of their day to come in and participate in this, and so we are greatly appreciating them for joining us. And likewise, it was mentioned earlier, but please go through and make sure that you give them all a like. They definitely are going to earn it today, as I've got some pretty in-depth questions for them regarding building Web3 experiences. So let's dive in with that, I guess. So the first question that I have for all of you is, we keep hearing about Web3 as a revolution, but so many experiences still feel like Web2 apps with crypto wallets awkwardly bolted on. What is the one thing we need to completely unlearn from the old Web2 experience to create something truly transformative? Who wants to go first?
Yeah, you know me. I'll always go first. I don't
Of
mind.
course, it's Gabriel.
I love it.
I was like, ideas. I got ideas about that. But I think the biggest one, and I don't know if it's about unlearning it, but it's about finding a new way to engage with users with minimal steps to onboard. To get in there and do it. And we kind of learned this fairly well with Web 2 and with account abstraction, single sign-on, that kind of stuff. And then we kind of, I would say we kind of forgot it, and we got into like individual signups and registrations, and that's become almost the norm, I would say, in Web 2 gaming specifically. I'm more of a gamer in the game industry side of things, so most of my opinions are from the game industry perspective, which is okay, because I think a lot of that really carries over into the UX experience, all that kind of stuff. But I think we need to figure out how to strip away all of those barriers while still providing protections. And I think that's one of the things where Web3 shines above all the other options, is to be able to get players in with, a universal passport or something like that. And I think we'll see that coming here in the near future. I think there's a lot of studios that are working on, universal passport that we can use across different spaces. Right now, the only thing that kind of comes close is like Google single sign-on, or maybe sign in with Facebook, these types of things. But I think those just aren't quite what we need, and I think crypto might have the answers.
Yeah. I also think that to add on top of that, like, it's correct what you said, but to add on top of that is that we talk about a new technology actually that's being integrated, right? So I mean, blockchain is out there for 15 years now. When we look at internet itself, how long did it take for people to actually get used to internet, right? And that was already new. So in terms of age differences, in terms of age differences, it's too early to step away from the Web 2 model a little bit, where right now transactions need to happen on chain, and people need to go to their MetaMask to see if a transaction is approved and stuff like that. So model boxes, for example, that shows the steps that are being taken on chain as well. Like, for example, when we talk about DeFi, people need to approve an amount first that they can send to the smart contract, right? And then they can actually deposit to the smart contract. If you skip the step of informing them, just a confirmation box pop up, for example, or actually every step to go from approving to depositing to the deposit has been confirmed / arrived / on-chain transaction has happened. I think those middle steps are being missed out right now by so many projects in DeFi. And on top of that, when we look at, DeFi is something already extreme apparently for crypto, for the average crypto person. So I do think that, like, in terms of education, we're building on blockchain, so we all need to we all should take the responsibility as well. We're not first movers anymore, but still we're very young in this era, where we need to educate people.
And also the landscape is really evolving very quickly. It did take a long time for the adoption of internet. Just getting internet inside of a home was quite a long duration before it was publicly available, versus when every home had internet. So we're looking at another shift, and that is into the digitization of our worlds, into metaverses and things like that. So this is accelerating. So I think even though we are pretty new, we're going to have to grow up really fast.
100% agree with you on that one. I don't want to take some of this conversation, but because I know you guys all have some good things to talk about. But coming from my perspective, I think that there's a lot of things that even if we start focusing on design and what I like to call under the hood components to UI UX design, to create that seamless flow, there's a missing ingredient there that I've found over 2 decades of being a UI UX designer, and that is the cognitive behavior of what a user has already been conditioned for. And if you don't know what I mean by that, is if you've ever heard of the 9-dot game or 9-dot principle, I encourage you guys to Google it. It is amazing. It's a psychology experiment that was put out of, oh gosh, I want to say in the 70s or 80s. But basically what it is 9 dots on a piece of paper, and you ask people to connect the dots all with one line without picking up their pencil or the line that they're creating. And it's so interesting because people keep themselves inside of the box and of an invisible box. And there's, oh gosh, I want to say there's only just like, I want to say like maybe 5%, 10% of the people that do it actually, without knowing this beforehand, put themselves inside of that box. And because that's how they've been conditioned. And so that affects a lot of the UI UX design through the experiences that we've done. Google, Android, Apple are great examples of this, right? They've set the standard of what a app should look like, act like, behave like, specifically around the navigation. So that it seems familiar with people and people can easily adapt and adopt to whatever is being built. There's some familiarity there. But for me, when it comes to that, I don't like the term think outside the box. I think it's a very cliche, overused in marketing, sales, business operations, whatever you call it. It's more about not thinking outside the box, but expanding the box as that user becomes more and more familiar with your product, your service, what you're basically trying to get them to do. Because that ties into a whole nother psychology model that allows people to tap into that intrinsic motivation. And so for me, I think that that's one key element that we don't really think about is how our users have already been conditioned in other ways.
I just Googled the 9 dot box to see if I could find a good example, and it sent me to Wiki thinking outside the box.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I believe there's a great article if you want to learn more about it on Psychology Today. Is a really good example, I think, if I remember correctly. It's been a few years since I've looked it up.
Hey, the only thing I will add to that, because we literally had a product meeting
I think
on
everybody's
Monday.
just Googling it right now.
Sweet. Google can pay me for referral.
You still use Google or you use ChatGPT actually?
I'm still old school. I go Google.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, it sounds like one of our speakers isn't being heard very well and people are talking over her. The joys of X Spaces.
Oh my gosh, can y'all not hear me?
Oh, we can hear you now. Sorry about that.
I can hear you. Some people can hear you, but obviously not everyone.
Oh no. The only thing I was gonna add to that, because I was literally just in a product meeting with my team yesterday. And one of the concerns that I brought up is I was just like, we're in meme coin season and everybody like that's like popular and the bear market or the bull market is upon us and all that stuff. But one of the things that I feel like would expedite, our movement to like mass adoption and more people like coming into the space is more consumer facing products, RIP, Starbucks Odyssey, but like they really had like a really good, groundwork for like not even using the word web3 or tokens or whatever just to get people interested in the um idea of going on blockchain or having a token gated experience, if you will, just doing what you usually do. I know people are doing like real estate. There are a couple of people that are building out protocols for everyday what we use every day, and I think that when those become popular and when people actually see, oh hey, I can buy a house on blockchain, or oh I can buy a timeshare, whatever you usually do in the web 2 world. When people start seeing what you can do in the decentralized space, I feel like that would help us way more, and it'll help the designers showcase their wonderful work that they've been building for years.
Great input.
Well said.
Yes, great input.
Yeah, in terms of like the UX also for Web3, I think it's also interesting to kind of compare to the early stages of the internet as well. I think is an interesting comparison because there's that interview where I think it's Bill Gates or someone who's on Letterman or something like that, but he's basically being asked like, okay, so what can this internet do, right? And he goes, well, you can read your newspaper on the internet, and he goes, well, like I can do that too right now. So that's not a benefit. Then he goes, well, you could listen to the radio on the internet, and he's like, yeah, like I can do that too as well right now. So I don't see any use for the internet, right? So he just kind of keeps going through, and I think it's natural when you are in a revolutionary technology like this, you are kind of skeuomorphic in the sense of copying old stuff over and just trying to like mimic the current behavior, and that's how you spent your time in the beginning because we still haven't seen the true discovery and innovation, like the crazy stuff, right? And it's just a factor of many things. Like we haven't gone through many cycles of like new generations that are coming out to really revolutionize this and stuff. So it just naturally takes time to evolve. But what I'm super excited about is like this is like a double exponential, right? We're innovating on top of the internet, but not only that, we're innovating on top, like on blockchain on top of that too. So I think this is going to be absolutely insanely massive, and we've only scratched the surface. We all know that here. We're insanely early, but I'm really excited for what can be done. And but look, some of the challenges so far too. But again, similar to kind of like how it was in the early days of the internet. The society is so structured around how the current tools work, right? Everybody had a newspaper delivered every day. It was not a problem. People didn't have a problem reading the newspaper, but we had to change the whole world around it, right? Before people was like, yeah, of course I read the newspaper on the internet. Before that became normal and stuff. But in any way, what I just wanted to add, like one quick thing, is that it is of course a little bit challenging because the banks have also done a great job in terms of like, as I like to say, kind of like putting lipstick on a pig a little bit, like kind of almost make it look like a magic show where it's like it's really messy behind the curtains, behind the scenes, but they make it look like it's super simple and easy for users. So everybody's like, what do you mean there's Bitcoin? I already have my digital dollars in my Chase account, right? Like they're sitting right there and I could just move them over to my friend. What do you mean? There's no need for blockchain. So it's similar to that newspaper thing, right? So we do have some challenges on the UX front, but we can definitely solve them. And now because fintech was still building on the old rails, the old payment rails, with huge limitations and could never really truly unfold. So fintech was always speaking about the box there. Fintech had to be restricted within those nine dots, right? But now that we're on this like global payment rail, we can truly go global. We can truly like expand to anything we want. Like I really mean that. It's like you can do anything. You can stream payments. You can XYZ. You can do everything. So I'm excited about that. I'm really passionate about this. So it's great.
Love the conversation so far, and also just wanted to jump in and kind of share a couple of highlights from my side as well. Personally, I've been in crypto since 2017. One of the very first projects which I actually worked on was a crypto to fiat payment gateway for actual brick and mortar stores, which we did end up launching. And yeah, that was back in 2017. We had locally some major brands and players actually use our software, such as even United Colors of Benetton. Perhaps some of you guys might know that, but I very much side with what was said previously in terms of that we're super, super early. Why? Because I feel like every cycle, there's just a natural selection of both, winners and losers. And after each cycle, there are new challenges to be faced, new initiatives, new technology to be worked with. And I think it's definitely going to be taking a couple more years before we see this mass adoption. Why? Because even from that experience with working with this payment provider itself and, trying to onboard traditional businesses into, them accepting crypto, it was a very, very strange time back then. And I think that back then it took such an effort for the team to actually find, businesses that would either A, have the understanding of crypto already and why they should be accepting it, or B, being open to, accepting, this kind of new currency within your payment system and integrating that and whatnot. And I think that just in general, this is right now an example about a crypto to fiat payment gateway, but this will go for all sectors, for all different kinds of projects, whether that's specifically Web3 gaming, whether that's, ultimately there has to be a value and indeed a certain level of adoption in general within society, I believe. So what percentage we're at about that adoption, I won't mention my own number, but I think we have some percents to go, guys. And yeah, as we build along, we're going to make that happen. So super, let's do it.
Yeah, especially like one thing that was mentioned earlier about the banks and how the banks are able to sort of, with the user experience, sort of make everything look like it just works when behind the scenes there's all kinds of problems. And that's something that I think that with crypto we've sort of struggled with matching for a lot of things. And so, for example, I think that there's an inherent clunkiness to the early eras of cryptocurrencies and Web3 technologies where you got to sign this, you got to wait for confirmation there, you got to copy the right address here, all that kind of stuff. And a lot of times that's due to limitations of the base technology, not necessarily problems with the user experience and how it's been built out. And so, for example, I've seen this a lot with the Bitcoin space where you have a lot of very clunky technologies like the Lightning Network. And like I used to run a Lightning node. I'm pretty well familiar with the whole technology. It's never going to have a good user experience if you're using it completely well, if you're using it the way it's supposed to be used. And instead, a lot of the experiences that have been built on Lightning, for example, have been through fully custodial bank-like apps where they don't actually touch the technology. The end user doesn't actually touch the technology themselves. And they think, wow, this works, this is easy. And then their app gets banned in a certain country that because of laws or something, because relating to custody. And then we kind of have this problem. And so I think that for too long, a lot of times, the magic of a perfect user experience is one way. And as long as that's achieved in some way, a lot of the rest gets thrown by the wayside. Whereas I think we need to start with that magic of a curated experience and then find what is it about the base technology that doesn't allow us to do this. Like, for example, waiting for confirmations for a transaction or not having usernames or on the actual blockchain level and having them on a second layer or something instead, finding out those limitations, fixing those limitations so that the raw experience of using the decentralized technology itself is as close to this curated, perfect experience that we're trying to get as possible.
Oh, hell yeah.
I love that. I love that. It's interesting that, a couple of points that are being made that I kind of want to tie together here is, it was mentioned that with new technology, there always comes a paradigm shift in power, right? And I think that it scares the hell out of people that are currently in power when they see new technology come up. And it, to your point, it's like putting a lipstick on a pig type of thing. And if you look at Apple right now with their Vision Pros, it's not new technology. It's nothing really new. It's just that they've waited to the point where they can mandate and control the market a little bit. And if you look at what Joel was just talking about with the banks, I mean, that's another thing right there is we're being conditioned almost in a sense to not encompass or basically welcome some of these innovation. A lot of us do, but if you really think about it, a lot of us aren't, because we're almost waiting for permission from these big companies to say, you know what, yes, this is a good technology, let's go for it, right? Point in case with Apple right there. And so that kind of leads me to my next question. I'm going to ask that in just a second, but I'm going to pause really quick. if you're just tuning in to this episode of XTalks, thank you for listening. We've got a great discussion going on building Web3 experiences. We've got tons of great knowledge and expertise on our panel today. Please be sure to like and follow them. All our panelists earning that follow. Likewise, please share the link to this episode and get that out. And then for anybody that's interested, I did put the link in of the thinking outside the box on the psychology thing on the main thread. So if you want to go check that out, you can. So jumping into the back half of this, if you guys have any questions for our listeners out there, if you have any questions for our panelists, be sure to throw that in the comments thread below, and we'll have Sam grab those and get those up to our panelists. But in the meantime, let's move on. My next question is basically around what I was just talking about. What if the killer apps of Web3 that we're trying to build today aren't the ones, are ones that we're basically trying to force into Web3 experiences? And what if we're looking in all the wrong places for inspiration, and what we think might be useful, but not necessarily truly what users want? How are we going to overcome this and listen to what they want?
I could start with a little thing. The mythical user. It's kind of interesting because a lot of apps and experiences are sort of have this idea of like a mass market in mind of there's 100% of users, and we will find out what this mythical user wants and try to build exactly what they want. And in the reality, the global free market is a patchwork of, billions of individuals, all with completely different needs, wants, things like that. And where we find kind of larger, more popular things are where there's overlaps in everyone's needs or wants to a point where you can get the most users possible. One thing I've noticed, especially with like crypto and the entire crypto world, is there's a lot of talk about trying to get to a mass adoption sort of a position without trying to find a niche adoption position. And so a lot of times I think that what we need to do is figure out what works for a certain subset of people, for anyone. If it's valuable, then if some people will find it valuable, and grow from there. Start with something where it's like, yes, this does exactly what I want. I'm very happy to keep using it. And so, for example, cryptocurrency has been very good at allowing people to transact permissionlessly internationally, especially for the unbanked or underbanked. And I've noticed this is a community I'm very close with, because in 2016 I closed my bank account to live entirely off of crypto, and haven't gone back since. And so for me personally, from that life choice, it's working, but I also encounter other people who are doing the same. And it's definitely not the vast majority of the world at all, but it is a strong group of people who will be very loyal users and will reproduce and will find other people and talk to them about this. And I do know there's other people who've heard me talk on this and just been like, you know what, me too. I'm going to stop using fiat currency. I'm going to live only on crypto. And so those are the kinds of really hardcore user groups you want to really prove and see if the technology works. And then slowly but surely start finding what are the barriers from that to a larger audience. It's like, okay, we got the hardcores. They love this stuff. They're using it all the time. They have no complaints. But the next larger group, like maybe general freedom and tech enthusiasts who aren't necessarily as hardcore, but they're like, yeah, I don't know, I want to like dip my toe in, but it's not really for me. Then you ask, why isn't it for you? And then expand from there. I think that the sort of mass market thing is a little bit of a myth in the near term. I don't think that we're going to have crypto projects running around and having having an app or something that works for that a few insiders and investors sort of use, and then they tweak it and get it right, and then all of a sudden billions of users pour in. typically that's probably not going to be the case. I think it's going to be you start with something that's small and proven successful, and then once you to a certain community, and then from there you decide how you can expand it to the needs of someone greater. And obviously, we're all human. We all have a lot of overlapping needs, and sometimes when you find something that serves a specific group of users needs very perfectly, it's not that much of a shift to sort of expand it so it gets hit by everyone's Venn diagram or a lot more people's Venn diagrams and then kind of grows from there. And I guess the final little thought on this rant is a lot of these things that people want or need on a wide scale, they're not necessarily they're not necessarily something that people might need or have a use for today. Sometimes it's about creating a new thing. So, for example, just here on X, like who needs a Twitter? Who needs an X? If you go to the pre-internet era or even the pre-Web 2 era, no one has a need for this sort of product. And it's just some sort of interesting tech enthusiast, whatever, start to get into it. And then you build the user base. And then eventually it becomes just a thing, an independent thing that people who didn't think that they needed something like this are now, okay, well, I'm going to try this out. And now it becomes kind of a thing. And so, for example, with decentralized money, with anything with privacy tech, with tech that lets you own your own data and not give it to other companies or whatever, in the mass market, I don't think there's really that much of a demand for this at all. But in more niche markets, there is. And then once it gets to that stage, from there, now the mass market can see, oh, there's this interesting thing over here. Maybe the world changes, maybe there's increasing negative effects of surveillance or financial censorship or these kinds of things. And then that just scoots the whole mass market or most of it into this kind of zone. So yeah, just to recap, I think build for hardcore people who have a use for your thing first, and then see if you can expand to bigger and bigger markets.
Great points. Thanks for sharing. Talk about poor user experience. I apologize. It looks like a couple of you have had your hands up. This Twitter space, I can't even see hands, so I apologize. It looks like a few of you have had your hands up, so please just jump into the conversation.
Genso, Soe, and Abud had their hand up for like ever. They just need to. I saw him and I was going to say something, but then I was like, and then we changed topics, so I gave up.
Honestly, it's okay. Like, I feel like I wanted to make some points in the beginning, but then I was just listening to everyone and I just felt so incredibly out of depth because some of the points that were made was so good that I feel like at some point I just opted out for listening and learning rather than listening to myself talk about the same thing. So please take it away, guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, same
I'll just
here.
jump
Actually,
in quickly here. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was enjoying so much the space that at one point I completely forgot I raised my hand because I was like agreeing with each and every one of you. Like, we are so early, like Jasper said, and I totally agree with Jean Marie and with you, Cryptonaut. Like, I think the truth lays right in the middle, right? Because we should forget some paradigms like centralizations of control and push people to think out of the box. The metaphor of the 9 dots was amazing. You made me remember that I did read actually that book, so it was you unlocked a memory. And so yeah, I think Web 2 brings us to think that all these ecosystems have to be closed, but with Web 3 we are unlocking these and we are opening, and this is really, as Jasper said, we are so early that we should a little bit educate people and help them to get into this new way of thinking. And so I might say something that some people dislike, but I really believe in Web 2.5 because, like, we didn't become humans from the Neanderthal just in one click, right? One day. We were evolving slowly. And it's the same thing with all the Web2 platforms. We should, put on top some Web3 layers, some Web3 tools, and make people used to use them while they're already using their Web2 experiences that are already built with a user interface and a user experience that they like. But we might focus to make, Web3 to make Web3 easy for these folk, for normies, until they get to know and get to learn, the benefits of Web3. And then one day when they have the total knowledge that probably cryptos are much better than fiat, then they will stop to use the Web2 old, ecosystem. But until that point is kind of up to us, to create Web 2.5 platforms, if it makes sense. But yeah, I love the questions and I love
Web
the
2
answers,
plus,
guys.
we're calling it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. All right, Aboud, you're up, my friend. Sorry about that.
Thank you, man. No problem. No problem. I really I got mixed up in a lot of things anyways, like I was listening all along. I had something to add to pretty much everything that was being said, but definitely I do agree on a lot of things. But in terms of like me, uh, I work on a game, so if we're gonna talk DeFi, I'm not gonna dig into that because it's not my expertise, right? So, but what I can say is definitely like everything in the end, like there's one point where you feel like everything is very similar, and that everything will need its time. So we can't really rush things and start doing things and act as if everyone will jump in and start using blockchain as a technology or decentralized finance, or they're going to start playing Web3 games and using NFTs and all that. We can't really assume that that is going to happen. But there's one thing that I mentioned once on a space before, it might have been with the X co-host and Layer 1X as well, is that we just need to make sure that we don't create problems and then the solutions to them. So if we actually like take things that are existent already and we switch them around, we utilize blockchain in a way or another, it would be the great way to start. The example that was said before about the interview that they had with Bill Gates once, because of was it Bill Gates? I don't know if it was Bill Gates, but anyways, it was about the internet and reading a newspaper on the internet, right? So that was a thing. So they used to read newspapers on papers, obviously. At some point, the internet had newspapers on them, but nowadays I don't think I see any, let's say, 20 to 30-year-old person reading the newspaper on the internet, but rather they would gather their news from whatever, say, the social media. Let's say X as an example. They can gather their news from that. So it evolved in a way. So it got to that newspaper thing. It was on the internet. And eventually that whole thing is not being used as much anymore, except from the people that still know what it is. So if I used to read the newspaper every morning, I would still do that on the internet for sure, and also utilize something like
Granny,
X to get
how
my.
did you find out about Bitcoin? I read it on the face space.
There we go. Yeah, it's not the newspaper. Yeah, yeah. So what I'm saying is that it evolves slowly, but it started off with something that already existed in the real life, let's call it. And then all of a sudden it transformed to be the same thing on the internet. And then on the internet, someone came up with the idea, let's create this and that application, and then you'll have that thing on it. So it's really evolving over time, just like, I'm not sure who mentioned that before me, was it Zoe or not, but yeah, it is very much that.
Great points. Great points. I think you hit it on the head there with the innovation has definitely driven a lot more resources to information, a variety of different resources there, and it's allowed a lot of people to become knowledgeable in a lot of different things very, very quickly. I think I'm the only one on Twitter that doesn't claim to be a self-proclaimed guru and what I do. And And so, I mean, that's.
But you are.
I let my
Don't you
experience
just do
talk
that
for
by
itself.
announcing that you're not doing it? I mean, isn't
Yeah.
that just announcing that you are?
Yeah,
Yeah, you
exactly,
are.
exactly. But yeah, I think we're all on the same page there. That it is interesting, especially being able to find those sources that you can gather information from really quick, even if it is Chat GPT type of thing, or if it's from your person that you follow on Twitter, right, or whatever it might be. So great comments. I do want to.
So he touched on the idea of 2.5, Web 2.5. I just want to say, like, Silver Fox, they're up in the crowd. I'm doing head of community for them. We have this thing we're kicking around with this idea that Web3 games are never going to catch Web 2 games, and we're still a Web3 company. And the reason for that is that we really only talk about Web 3 versus Web 2 when we're in a Web 3 space. Like, people who are making games don't talk about Web 2 games versus Web 3 games. They just call them games. And then they maybe call them like crypto games or something like that, or scams or whatever. But their position isn't about the technology. Their position is about the experience of the actual application. And so one of the big things that we're missing, I think, in this discussion about user experience is what is the user expecting and what are we trying to give them? And I think a lot of times in Web3, we're trying to give them too much. If people don't want non-custodial wallets, and the data suggests that it's a significant amount of people who don't want a completely non-custodial wallet, they want to have some protections. If that's what we're forcing on people, there's no way we're ever going to reach mass market adoption. And so I think Zoe's method of, let's evolve Web 2, let's give Web 2 enhanced technology abilities, peer-to-peer trading without centralized oversight. Let's, give back to data for data to earn. I think this is going to be huge. I think people just don't realize how much money is being made off of their data. And I think once we can show them that, allowing them to plug into that revenue potential is going to be immense, and it's going to be a huge driver for the adoption of Web3 technologies. But people aren't going to just say, "Yep, now I'm fully indoctrinated into Web3." We're always going to be a niche, I think, but everybody's going to be using Web3 technologies in the future. It's our job to make sure that they can access them easily.
Yep, totally agree with you on that one. We just have a few minutes left, and we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for our community, and each and every one of us wouldn't be here. That's for sure. So we've got a lot of community members from all over joining us. So we want to just turn it over to Sam real quick to give us two community questions. I know it's going to be probably hard to pick through some of these good ones, but let's just pick two of them, and we'll kind of go out on that note then. So over to you, Sam.
Thank you, Cody. We are aware of, we are conscious of everyone's time, and I know we are just over the hour mark, but these are a very, very interesting questions. So the first one goes like this. What key principles / strategies does the design team consider when understanding the requirements of the end user and their user experience? It is often very difficult to please every end user and interactions with the end product. So how are these strategies prioritized?
From my side, you have to watch the user actually interact with the system in order to gain insight on how to make it better. I'll keep it short and sweet.
Yeah, I could keep it short and sweet as well. Let's start by fulfilling promises to the user, as in if they do something, it should work. You click send, it sends, and that's it. You click, log in here, that's it. There's no, well, your gas fee was off or this, or just, you have to wait for confirmations, whatever like that. Just let's start with everything that you say it does, it just does, and no other questions asked.
And
I
I
love the
think,
most recent MetaMask foible where it wasn't recalculating gas fees for our network. So it was like, well, I can't claim. I was like, oh, you have to go and edit your gas fee. You have to up it by 1 gwei, and then it'll go through. And they're like, why? It's like, MetaMask.
Yeah, I like to say, like, I mean, it all requires the data of the user, right? I mean, where do you lose people using your platform, right? Where do they get stuck? I mean, people are not eager to accept changes, you know. Web 2 to Web 3, DeFi is a step that's currently still too far. That's why CeFi platforms still win in terms of users and amounts over DeFi, right? So, I mean, the main issue what we're talking about is wallets, self-custodian, seed phrases, blockchain interaction itself, transactions. Basically, I mean, that's the last hurdle. I mean, it's a big hurdle though, and it's multiple hurdles if you need to sum them up like that. But like, I mean, I think from DeFi, more secondary functions on the back end need to be implemented. With a clear roadmap basically to the user of which step he's actually in of completing the whole process. Or like go back to pro versions, or like with a hybrid model where you have a pro version where people can connect their own MetaMask, everything is self-custodial and stuff like that. They do their interactions, all transactions on chain. You're on your own, you know. Or also like that would be a pro version of a platform, and you basically in a hybrid model you also build it off chain, right? So where like easy mode where people have an account, where you have a custodian wallet and make transactions off chain to an indexer node, and then anything that's a deposit to your platform is only deposit to your platform, and or withdrawal out of the platform is on chain. All the rest is off chain. Like that would make user experience like a lot easier, because when we talk about like people are only just now getting more and more exposed to cryptocurrency, not even blockchain, to cryptocurrency, to Bitcoin through those ETFs, right? Those people are not blockchain users at all, right? They get exposed to, I mean, they're not even on Binance or Bybit or whatever. So their journey is yet to start, and probably for like 30 or 40% of them, their blockchain adventure will never start. They just stick into cryptocurrency and that's it. So I mean, building a killer app itself is like, I mean, the big question would be what makes a killer app, right? I mean, backers bring credibility, and the big players are at the table now. I know out of good source actually that BlackRock people have actually been already angel investors in projects since 2011. They stepped into Bitcoin with multiple of them, and I know that they have been investing since ICO dates. So I mean, with those people coming to the officially stepping in, right, as angel investors now, it brings a lot of credibility to the current blockchain users or communities. But when we look at like what brings audience to you, we're talking about KOLs here. So even when a KOL goes through your platform or does a showcase of your platform, it's not enough, because the user needs to be more educated. So go back to make tutorials of every step, like a whole help or a separate page with like every step explained, and not just explained by text, but also with pictures and like a whole tutorial by video. Like I think that, like, go back to basics, and we're skipping the step of the basics, like where everything back in the days, like Web 2, everything had a tutorial. Everything had like, right now we stepped in Web 3 and everything is FAQs, and it's like, yeah, that's not help.
Yeah, I agree on that.
Yep.
I have to quickly jump off, guys. I just want to thank everybody for the amazing space. I have another meeting to attend, but it was lovely. Really looking forward. I would have loved to continue this conversation on probably for another hour. I did put up a tweet, not really to shill, but we do just literally launched our airdrop campaign today. So it might be worth it for you to check out, especially if you have some kind of passion or you're enthusiastic about cars. And without further ado, I want to give a huge shout out to Layer 1X and X co-host for arranging this space. Definitely be sure to check out all of the speakers and the projects in today's space. And I look forward to connecting with you very soon. Cheers, guys. Have a good one.
You too. Genso, we'll go with you, and then we'll kind of wrap it up here.
Thank you so much. I'll be really quick just to provide a little bit of a perspective from a gaming side. I do agree with Moonblast that we need to go back to the basics, and it's all about kind of replicating the user journey and seeing where you could potentially lose players or users, and just make it as simple as possible, make it less exclusive, and just make it really, really easily comprehensible, because there's so much. The market is just so saturated. There's so many services out there. So if you want to grab at least a little bit of the attention of the user, you need to make sure that you're making it really easy, if not even fun for them. That's it.
Awesome. Great insight. I'm going to leave you with this. If you guys want to go down a deep rabbit hole, I use a lot of different psychology models in how I design, and to tap into the cognitive behavior of the user's behavior, their routines, things like that. I would encourage you to look up a psychology model known as self-determination theory. It's a great rabbit hole to go down, especially if you're a UI UX designer and in charge of user experience. It'll be a great way for you to build brand ambassadors and adoption for your application that you're trying to build, no matter if it's a game, DeFi project, whatever it might be. So anyways, I'll leave you with that. Thanks everybody for joining. Again, please give our panelists a huge follow. They definitely deserved it. Lots of great insight, lots of great knowledge. I think we're going to have to let our XTalks manager know that we're going to have to do a follow-up to this as well. It seems like it was a great topic today. So thanks everybody. Appreciate it. Have a great day, morning, evening, wherever you're at in this world. And let's keep uniting crypto and building a future of a united Web3. Thanks everybody. Have a great one. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, L1X. You guys are awesome.
Cheers.
Thanks, community,
Thanks, guys.
for
Thanks,
coming.
guys. Bye.
Awesome seeing you guys.